Welcome to Vanadium Mysteries. So I'm going to do, this is the first time we're going to do this on the show. I've been really trying a few different things, but this is yet another thing. So I've been interested in basically unexplained mysteries. Yeah, I'm into conspiracy theories, but more than that, I'm really interested in just the unexplained. I'm interested in the anomalies in all aspects of life, because those are where I think we can get to the heart of the matter. And there is a case that has been bothering me since I first learned about it, really shortly after it happened. And I know maybe people are familiar with it because it's a pretty widespread story on the internet. And that's the story of Elisa Lam and her terrible trip to Los Angeles and that elevator video. And so I had first of all, you just watch the video and you can tell right away that you're watching something special, because it is spooky as a motherfucker. And there's something about the way she's moving her body that is really, because I've thought about it. I'm like, is it a seizure? So I actually did some reading into seizures and how the body movements, and basically there's a certain type of characteristic of a real seizure, and that's that you'll have like a high frequency, short amplitude kind of shake, and then it'll go to like a wider movement, but sort of slower. And that's not at all what was happening with her hands. And other than that, it doesn't really, I'm kind of looking out of the corner of my eye at this video. Other than that, her hand motions don't make any sense to me. And there doesn't seem to be, while there's no evidence, anybody's not familiar with the story, I'm going to show you the video. But basically, she's a woman who's alone in a hotel lobby with an elevator. And she's getting in and out of this elevator as though she's interacting with something in the environment, but we don't see it. And the elevator is behaving strangely. So the elevator, when she's way out of the picture, it seems to be opening and closing the doors. And there's really nothing in there. There's no shadows in the background. The video is about 4 minutes to really get a sense of what's going on. That's really all you need to watch. And every bit of it is worth watching. And her hand motion's really the sort of climax. And that's the part that, slow down. And I've watched it many times. And for a while, I was like, it's got to be a seizure. But then I did a little bit of research, and you see that's not what her hands are doing at all. When I look at what her hands are doing, it looks like she's swimming, which is quite strange because she ends up basically after this video, she dies, and her body's found in a water tank on top of the hotel. Basically, she somehow actually the elevator didn't even take you to the roof. So she had to get up on that roof somehow through, and I'm going to show you some pictures as well. She's an interesting person too. Her story, how she came to be in Los Angeles, in not just Los Angeles, West Hollywood is one thing, Malibu is another, but downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row, man, that's real darkness. And she seemed somebody who was skilled on the internet. And I don't know that you could, and it's strange that someone would end up at the Cecil Hotel, the infamous Cecil Hotel. How did she end up there? And also the hotel itself. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Something's rotten in Denmark. And I'll talk about Richard Ramirez, who I'm sure everybody's familiar with as the Nightstalker. Probably the scariest and most movie-like of all fucking historical serial killers. He was the most like a real devil. And he pretty much said, I'm the fucking devil. And he had a pentagram on his fucking palm. Richard Ramirez is the real deal. And they haven't made a movie because I think that if they tried to get a real actor, even like a great actor like Javier Bardem or somebody like that, or like, I don't know, even somebody like, I was just thinking of No Country for Old Men. Somebody really could be really scary to play Richard Ramirez. I feel like it wouldn't work because Richard Ramirez, it would be too much. It would be an over-the-top performance for anybody other than the real thing, the real devil. And Richard Ramirez has never, there's been some movies. but nothing of note. Nothing I mean, you can go watch them, but nothing really captures some of the stories and some of the photographs. And also, it's interesting to see the following Richard Ramirez has to this day. And there was another guy, this Unterweger. This guy's name, I have real trouble with, Jack Unterweger. And this guy I had never heard of. And I'm ashamed because I thought I knew, I thought I had at least a fair level of knowledge about, your history of serial killers in America. Maybe not totally abroad, because he did most of his work abroad. He's really an Austrian serial killer, and he did only some of his work in Los Angeles. But he and Richard Ramirez both ended up in this hotel at one point or another, as did a lot of other people who met with strange ends, suicides, accidents. It kind of reminds me of that movie with John Cusack, 1408. That movie's pretty good, underrated. Watch it. And I've never been to the hotel. I don't live far by, and I've actually been planning a trip. And I have to get the lay of the land first. I'm not going to make any promises about going inside. Because I need to know what kind of darkness I'm playing with here. And there's something's not right. And it's not just, I think Elisa Lam, she was somebody who was a searcher. I think she's somebody who was I sense a kind of kindred spirit. I sense somebody who was maybe struggling a little bit. Maybe somebody who was looking for, it's somebody who's looking for something, someone who's curious and taking chances too. Going to another country by yourself as a young person, 23 years old. That's kind of, I was a little older than that when I went abroad by myself. And I realized as I was doing it, I was like, this is insane, man. And I did it and I lived. But I don't know. She kept in touch with her parents while she was out, and called every day. And when she didn't make her daily phone call, that was when basically the alarm bells went off. And it took a while, but they ended up finding her in this water tank of the hotel only after people complained about the taste of the water. And if you look at the tank, I don't know first of all, even if you were going to decided you wanted to climb into the water, who even knows the hotel has a water tank like that up on the roof? I didn't. Seems kind of weird. Okay. It's on the roof. And there's 4 of them, and she chose the least accessible of them. Very just strange. Why that back one way out of the way? What are you doing on the roof in the first place? She's taking chances, but she's in a foreign country, and you're not supposed to go up on the roof. And she's not like a cat burglar. She's not like she's not like one of those free solo climber people. She's not a daredevil. She's just a traveler. What the fuck is she doing? Like climbing up a fire escape, which is what she probably would have had to do to get up on the roof. What's she doing? So a lot of people have theorized there's something about the hotel. Basically somebody working in the hotel. I don't know. I just imagine that there would be something else, that something would have come out. I imagine there's a lot of pressure on the police, and the fact that nothing is ever shaken out with that. But maybe I've done a little research. It just doesn't seem to be anybody at the hotel has a history. I don't know. I need to do some more research on that. But the police and all the authorities haven't been able to come up with anybody at the hotel that they're really any persons of interest, as they say. The Cecil Hotel. Wow, what would you be doing there? When I went abroad, I made sure, and I used a credit card. I didn't have all the money because I made sure that I paid for a nice hotel where I went, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to end up like as a bunch of body parts sold in the international market. So to end up the Cecil Hotel, I've seen it in pictures and I know where it is. And we're going to do a follow-up on this because the story it's obsessed me for years. And as I've been doing a little bit more research on this, that what I found out is it's just upsetting me even more, and it's sending me even more down the rabbit hole. I just don't, none of this makes any kind of sense. And some of the other people involved, it's satanic. This guy, Jack Unterweger, is Well, John Malkovich was interested in this guy enough to make a one-man play out of him, which I might be interested in seeing. I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know if they're recorded or anything. But this guy, Jack Unterweger, was a killer. Then he became a writer while he was in jail and started writing poetry and I guess essays on, the pains of his childhood and the remorse of how hard it's been in his life and why he killed and how he was never going to do it again and all that. So all these writers and the whole artistic community in Austria came to his defense and actually got him out of jail. And he'd killed a lot of people. I think he'd killed 11 people by that point, and they got him out of jail after 15 years. And he came out of jail a celebrity on he had his own television show, and he used his television show to investigate crimes. Some of these crimes were his. Now this man is bold, and you look at his face. Look at his face. God damn. Jack Unterweger. John Malkovich saw something in this guy. And this tells me John Malkovich is a madman. But it's good because people need to know. Thank you to John Malkovich, because people need to know that monsters like this exist. How come we haven't seen this guy in a movie? How I don't know, like how they have some of the biopics they have, and they haven't gotten to Jack Unterweger so much that I had to find out about him at age older than 25, because I should have known about this guy. I've been following serial killers my whole life. Not my whole life, since I started to learn about them when I was a kid. But man, the people who crossed paths at the people who came to the Cecil Hotel, it's a special place. Something about it. A guy, there's a journalist, and his name is Steve Erickson, and he wrote a great article about spending the night in the Cecil Hotel, and I really recommend you read it. It's a tremendously well-written article, and there's a great quote. He goes, "The Cecil will bring you whatever you're a fugitive from." So the hotel has been renamed. It's not called the Cecil anymore, and I won't even say the name, but it doesn't really matter. It looks spooky, and that area, it's been a little while since I've been even around that area, but the area itself is it's really scary. And I'm a guy I've lived in some tough cities over the years. I'm not like Beirut or anything, but I mean some tough East Coast cities. I mean, I lived in Philadelphia for a long time. Man, I don't know if it's the times, but downtown Los Angeles is like 21st century darkness. Not to say it's not interesting and cool and not worth checking out. As I'm saying this, I'm like, man, I need to pay that place a visit. Go down there. But I would never want to bring somebody I cared about, just because I'd worry, because it always feels dangerous to me when I go there. And no, even dangerous cities don't feel that way to me. I mean, I've been through D.C., Baltimore, I've been through Trenton, Patterson, Camden, and, all parts of Philly, parts of New York, Newark. And I've never felt the way that I feel in downtown Los Angeles. It's something else. And that's what, Elisa Lam, she was somebody who chose somebody who was a traveler, a wanderer. And why did she choose that place? Same place that Richard Ramirez chose. That Jack Unterweger chose. That I chose to describe. Well, at least maybe I'm not going. Well, I'm just. Maybe I'm going to end up going there. So maybe something wrong with me too. So I don't know what that says. But there is something to this story. There is something there. And I think that Elisa Lam was searching for light, and she found total, absolute darkness. Thank you very much. This is Vanadium. mysteries.